Here we are, another exciting Induction Monday. And I'm already excited for Warzone Wednesday. So Sora, you let me know when you're ready. Some of the things we're going to talk about kind of have to do with why I'm excited again for Warzone Wednesday. Not again, it's not like I ever wasn't excited. Oh, hello everybody, how are you? I hope you all had a good weekend. And I hope that you're having a good Monday. And those of you who have already finished Monday, I hope it went well for you. I think today is going to be our largest induction yet. And that's exciting. And I know that it may seem maybe annoying for some to have to put up with the waiting, especially those of you who joined last Monday. But I appreciate you hanging out, hanging around, sticking around, however you want to phrase it. And I especially appreciate your guys' introductions. I'm much more interested in making connections than I am increasing, seeing a number go up. So, seeing introductions posted to the introductions channel, it just does something for me. It's exciting. More than seeing a subscriber number go up or anything like that. These numbers carry so much weight and the 10 things, you know, this is a Triforce carryover. I didn't come up with a lot of this stuff. I stole it from the Triforce. But I like it. Because it's not what are your 10 things, what are your 10 favorite things, or what are the 10 things that you hate the most. It's 10 things as interpreted by whoever is writing their introduction. So you're not just a number. You're not just a little notification on a server. You're a person. Who took the time to introduce themselves and share 10 things of your choice on your own free will. And I think it's awesome because I never know what's going to be there. When I see a notification that says so-and-so joined the server, then it's like, huh, now who could that be? I wonder what they are all about. I wonder what their 10 things are. And it's my favorite channel to go back and read. And it may sound weird, but I go back and I read it every so often. Even though I've already read all these. I read them again. And different things stand out. And the more we interact and the more we get to know each other, the more interesting your introduction becomes. And then I remember that first day when you first posted your introduction, and I read it for the first time, and I thought, wow, oh, they're into that too. Oh, they're into that too. And you can't know a whole person based on 10 things in a little paragraph. But over time, all of these things come together and they build something unique. And I love the discovery of that. So thank you for writing your introductions, everybody. New members and old. Hello, Sarcastic Warlock. Hello, Nemo, Sora, Hale, Menenth. And hello to all of you who are not currently in the live chat. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. Hello and welcome. I'm very glad that you could be here. And today, I am absolutely ecstatic to welcome Toku, Swift, Steam Controller Gamer. I enjoy your videos, by the way. I hope you'll share some of those on the TRICOM as you see fit. Gothans, Dixon, The Left Person, and Dead Sunrise. Welcome to you all. You are now official members of the TRICOM and unofficial members, because I don't have this authority, of the Terrestrial Reconnaissance and Intervention Force. After all, this is the unofficial Earth chapter of the Triforce. And since, as far as I know, we are the only Triforce presence on the planet, that makes you all unofficial Triforce members. Raid would say that I am an unofficial Triforce member.
Yes.
But until I am officially discharged, I am holding on. I am maintaining my identity as a Triforce member.
No.
I am.
Okay.
And I'm absolutely honored to welcome you all to the TRICOM. Welcome. Hey, Raid.
Yes.
Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Say hello.
All right.
Come on, we worked on this. Raid,
Yes.
can you say hello?
Maybe.
All right, say hello, Raid.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, say hello.
Okay.
Oh, sometimes you're just useless.
I absolutely agree with you.
Are you being useless on purpose?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, Hale says, say hello, Raid, or I will leak our DMs. Oh my God, do it. Do it. If Raid talks to you guys and says like, if there are DMs, I am so interested.
No.
I am so interested in knowing what he's talking about.
No.
He's probably talking crap about me because that's
No.
his favorite thing.
Yes.
And that's a yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love you, Raid.
All right.
Well, yes, Swift, welcome. You can speak, my friend. You can speak. Raid has fully vetted you, right, Raid?
Okay.
And we can now confirm that none of our newest members are spies for the Galactic Federation. And if our history over the last few years has taught us anything, that is a very, very important barrier to entry. Would you agree with that?
You know I absolutely agree with that.
I know. I want to talk to you guys about something. This controller here is has been an experience for me. It's been a real journey. I've only had it for a week. Well, I guess a week and a couple of days now. But I really put it through its paces during the last week. That's not to say that it doesn't merit much more experimentation. But after a week of using it, I have come away with some thoughts. Not specifically about this controller, we've talked about that already. But thoughts about my Steam controller. Before we get into the Steam controller part though, for anyone who might have missed, it really does look cool. You know? It really does. Mostly. I don't like this large gap. This lip. I guess it's a lip, it's not a gap. I don't like that. I would like it to be smooth. I think that's more of a personal preference though. But I'm probably going to recommend this controller to a lot of people. It's almost similar to like a console itself. There's a lot of people, and if they were to say, "Hey, Ryker, I would like to play some video games. Should I go buy a bunch of computer components and try and build a computer and then play computer games?" I love computer games. I'm a big computer guy. But sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes it's just not right for everybody. And sometimes dropping a few $100 on a console is going to get a person to where they're trying to go a lot faster and a lot easier and a lot less expensive. And I understand that. I'm willing to accept that. And the Steam controller is similar. It's not for everyone. It's for those who want to spend time on making their controls unique. If you just want to play games, well, I don't know that I would recommend a Steam controller. Because it's for much more than just playing games. This, on the other hand, works very well. Shockingly well, considering how new it is and how it's not necessarily PC controller. And I was looking at the box, and the box says for PS5. And I thought, I wonder why, or I wonder what would need to change for Sony to decide to market this towards PC users. Because I think there's a lot of people that might go to the store and they might look at the controllers and think, I want to get a controller for my computer. What controller do I get? They're probably not going to pick up this controller if they're just judging by the packaging. And that's unfortunate, I think. Because it's a good controller, especially if you're looking for a gamepad, a regular gamepad. It's a great regular gamepad with some extra features. The Steam controller is a different kind of input device with gamepad functionality. Does that make sense? At least that's how I see it. For example, if I'm going to have someone come over, like in my imagination where that happens, I'm not going to hand them a Steam controller necessarily. That's not to say I haven't done that. But if I had one of these, this is much easier to just say, here you go. You know how to use this. You know what to do. And the fact that it has a gyro makes all the difference in the world. But I would wholeheartedly recommend picking one of those up if you're a Steam controller user. They are expensive, but this is not a conversation about finances. Assuming you can get your hands on anything that you wanted, one way or another, teleportation or replication is not out of the question. I would say get one of those. And when I first purchased it, I wasn't sure about that. In the first 48 hours after I purchased it, I would have said no. But things take time, and I knew that my initial impressions were going to evolve, they were going to change, and they did. But here's why I'm so glad that I got that controller and forced myself through the difficult period of time, getting used to it, before eventually coming to really enjoy it. It sure taught me a lot. It gave me a whole new appreciation for a number of things about my Steam controller that I don't think I really appreciated. Triggers being one of them. Not just the dual stage functionality of these Steam controller triggers, but the actual shape. The weight, the way this controller fits in my hand, the way it feels. There's so much here that I like. And there's been a lot of things that I've changed over the weekend. Based on the experiences of the prior week using the DualSense controller. And I want to go over some of those things. After I put these stupid thumb socks on that I love so much. All right. Oh yeah, there we are. Oh, feels good. Oh, I like it. It just feels so good. You know, and I thought that for sure Flick Stick was going to be something that I would pursue. I thought that what would happen was I would get that controller and start using Steam's implementation of Flick Stick, become frustrated with it, jump into Joyshock Mapper, and find my new home. That didn't happen though. Not to say that it couldn't happen or that it won't happen, because it might. But what I discovered fairly quickly was that the placement of these joysticks is simply uncomfortable for me. And because I'm not forced to get used to it, I didn't. I didn't take the time to get used to it. Instead, I implemented Steam's controller configurator, and I made adjustments to my config that made the controller much more comfortable by simply avoiding that for movement or for camera control and using it for functions, reload, change weapon, context action, those types of things. And then using mouse delta snaps in conjunction with a very high sensitivity gyro. Because of the limitation presented with this controller, I discovered a couple of fascinating things, specifically about sensitivities. My journey with the Steam controller could be summed up by saying, I am constantly wrong. That's what the Steam controller has taught me. I am constantly wrong. I think I like something one way, and I think something is what works. And it does. But it's not the end of the story. Acceleration is one of those things. Like many, I laughed at acceleration. I too believed you could never attain full muscle memory if you have acceleration. Well, that's just nonsense. There's a lot to say about muscle memory, absolutely. Muscle memory is very important, but it's not necessarily what you think. Muscle memory is not necessarily forcing yourself into a box. Sometimes muscle memory already exists, and fighting against it to attain muscle memory is actually counteracting muscle memory. And in terms of acceleration, when I enabled high acceleration, it didn't take long at all. I'm talking within a couple of hours for me to see noticeable improvements to my aim. Noticeable. In fact, I think it was even on one of these shows. And I turned it off, and I turned it on, and I turned it off, and I turned it on, tweaking sensitivities all the while, experimenting with finding that sweet spot. And then eventually, I just left it on. And then I turned it on in my other configs, made adjustments to sensitivity, and things were noticeably better. So maybe it's less that I was having to quickly rebuild muscle memory, and it was more that I was starting to accommodate the muscle memory that I already had. High acceleration helped my hands aim better when I was shooting at a distance. It just did. And I was still able to easily snap. Snap is the wrong term. Flick to my target. And it just worked. And all the while, these things have happened over and over and over and over and over. And that is why I think it's a really good idea to get one of these, and not necessarily one of these. I mean, like a DS4 controller, a Switch Pro controller perhaps, but a controller with limitations. Because you learn how to make things work within those limitations. And you find solutions to problems you didn't realize existed. So, one of the more recent discoveries in all this, after using that controller for a week and realizing that I needed to have a much higher gyro sensitivity to make that work for me, I realized I could actually do very well with a high gyro sensitivity, even though initially it felt way too high. It's a sensitivity level that I would have otherwise put on the Steam controller and said, oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is not going to work. This is way too sensitive. Just moving it around arbitrarily in a menu or in a game. When your game fires up and you drop in there and you're just sort of doing that thing that you do, you know, moving your controller around, getting a feel for things, and it's like, whoa, look at this, it's flying around. This is terrible. When I used that, I had to do that. So I had to push past that point where I would normally say, no, put it back, too high. Now when I feel that in this controller, after turning up those sensitivities, I realize it's not too high. It actually works really well. For my hands, at least. And what I thought we would do today is maybe just sort of jump into a bunch of different games that we had played last week. We're not going to go hard, go crazy, or spend all night on one game, but jump into them and just see how things feel after spending a week with that controller and now applying new settings. Bit of a fresh perspective to our Steam controller config. Because based on my experiences over the weekend, I really feel like this is going to be so much better. And I haven't been, this is saying something, I haven't been this excited for the Steam controller in a while. Now, obviously, there's a constant level of Twitterpation involved with the Steam controller and myself. I love this controller. But I feel like this is sort of new and exciting because I'm taking a different approach. Not fundamentally, I'm not reworking all of my configs, but I'm doing things I wouldn't have done before. And I'm really liking it. I've got to push a couple of buttons real quick. Stick around. We're going to jump into RoboQuest first, and I'm going to show you the changes that we've made to the Steam controller, and we'll see how it goes. Don't go anywhere. All right. Are you guys ready? Raid, are you ready?
Yes.
Good. Okay, let me show you. The things that I've changed are in here. Now, this doesn't look very high, but it was much lower before. Acceleration is on high. I have bumped up vertical scale sensitivity a little bit. And over here, I've greatly increased the touchpad sensitivity. Forever, I've been a one swipe, 180 touchpad sensitivity guy. Makes a lot of sense, and it's done me well over the years. But, like I said, with the DualSense controller, I needed a higher sensitivity. I was relying more on snaps for those horizontal movements in addition to the very high sensitivity gyro. Over here, we have a touchpad. So I'm making that touchpad much more sensitive. And I'll show you how sensitive. I'm still able to lock my gyro by clicking the center of the touchpad in. I don't know if I'm ever going to change that on this controller. That feels so good, and I love it. And coming back from that controller to this one, oh my God, my fingers were so happy. My right thumb was so ecstatic to be reunited with this touchpad again. And being able to lock my gyro just by clicking down, oh, I feel so good. And right next to that center click is my left and right snaps on click, and my 180 snaps on up click and down click. It's just phenomenal. That's not necessarily new, but it is an observation. You know, now I'm wondering, I'm wondering if I didn't save. No, I did. Oh, I don't know. Oh, you know what I did? I was tweaking my config and I ended up not saving the one that I had. There's not a whole lot of differences though, but that's kind of good. We can jump into, you know, what we're doing. So let me show you real quick. So we'll make this adjustment to the sensitivity, because I think it might go up a little bit. There's a thing with this game that I've noticed too, which is sort of annoying. The sensitivity, the mouse sensitivity, it's not completely consistent in this game. There's certain games like that. I don't know what it is. If the game has its own, I don't know what it is. It might be tied to frame rate or something. This is still an early access game, so I'm not going to hold it against them, but I thought I would point it out. So basically, rather than just a 180, what I want this to do oh, geez. See, like this feels so sensitive. Let me look here what our setting is. I believe that's supposed to be at 11. I don't know why it's at 10. That's probably what our problem is. Relative scope sensitivity. I think that's new. I could be wrong, but I believe that might be new. It doesn't feel any different. All right. Probably a mistake using this game first, considering the early access nature of it. It's got some bugs and things like that. But I'm doing it because this was a game we played a lot with that other controller, so it's a good comparison. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to go more than 180. You know what? Let me jump. Maybe it's this this little lobby area. Also, you can make that van jump while it's loading, which is a really good time. Let's go with, we'll go with the sawed-offs. And our gyro sensitivity is really high. Oh, watch this. So if I do the snaps, the 180 snaps in this game, sometimes it does it perfect, and sometimes it goes more, like it overshoots. And sometimes it undershoots. I don't understand why. Look at that. I mean, it's hard to really translate to video how I'm feeling. Like the feeling is different. The feel like that this high sensitivity, being able to just, you know what? Here, watch. Let me go like this. So look at this gyro sensitivity. I can quickly turn around behind me without moving the controller all that far. I mean, I could. That's a little extreme there, but starting from neutral, I mean, I would say that's way too high, but it's not. And what's nice is I've got my dampenings, and it just feels really, really good. All right, now we're gonna jump in here. Oh, I'm so excited. I just want to delay the gratification because it's gonna feel so good after using that DualSense for a week. Okay. Oh, and we're playing on the hard mode, the extra hard mode. It's like hard plus. You unlock it after you beat the game on hard or something like that. And so that's what we're playing on. When I'm hip firing, I'm doing it with a soft pull. I mean, you can only hip fire with this gun, but what I mean is I'm soft pulling the trigger. And it's not dampening my sensitivity when on a soft pull. So I still have that super high sensitivity right now as I'm firing. But then if I full pull, then it dampens. And I'm actually feeling like maybe it's dampening even too much. I'm really becoming accustomed to this high sensitivity. All right, let's grab this bow. We're not really speccing ourselves out for precision, but this will be nice to show a precision weapon along with a more assault weapon. Look at me missing all my shots. And I really, really like having my grip buttons. Whenever it says E, I'm doing that with shift jump, which is left grip, right grip. You can't slide through walls. I have to remind myself that. Something that the DualSense controller taught me was the importance and really the value of the snaps. Because that was the main way that I was turning around, since I wasn't using a joystick, I ended up forcing myself to use them more often. And the benefit of that is that now I'm using them all the time, especially the 180 snap. That 180 snap is so valuable. And what's really fun about it is you could almost use it, like when you use it often, it becomes a familiar thing. You use it almost like an ability. So you jump past your guy, snap, shoot. And as you use it more, you get better and better at your timing of that. And it becomes really fulfilling and engaging because it's like, it's something that you can now do in the game, almost like you unlocked a new ability. So it's like, all right, now I'm gonna try and do that as many times as I can. I'm gonna go under a little bridge and then snap behind me and then shoot the guy in his weak point, because sometimes the weak point is on the back of the enemy or whatever. Things like that become really fun and really neat ways of using that quick 180 snap. And even though, I never had a problem doing a 180 by swiping on the touchpad, it's a whole different experience when you're just clicking that button, boom, to face around the other direction. I would imagine for a lot of flick stick fans, that's sort of how you feel when you're using that, flick stick to turn around real quickly. It's similar, I'm sure. Gotta get the orbs. Too far, man. And that higher sensitivity gyro, I find that I'm turning around, I'm doing 180s with my gyro more often. Not because I'm thinking about it either. Like the snaps are something that I had to think about. And I still do, not as much though, but I still do think about, all right, gonna go do that and then I'm gonna do a 180 snap. With the gyro being at a higher sensitivity, it's almost like it just gives my hands more freedom to do what they do. And it ends up working out in my favor because the gyro is sensitive enough for my hands to actually accomplish what they're trying to do on their own. And you would think, well, you know, with high acceleration, that wouldn't be the case because your hands aren't going to be cognizant of the acceleration curve to the point where they're moving to accommodate it. I don't know what to tell you. I would agree with you. But for some reason, my hands tend to work. It just works and it feels right. So I can't tell you why it is. I'm no scientist. I'm just a dude from space. They're so cute. Almost feel bad destroying them. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna go into my right trigger full pull layer, which is my dampening layer for the right trigger full pull. And I'm gonna lower this dampening because it's a bit much. Oh man, and I can't wait to show you guys the Warzone config. It's not revolutionary, but it is certainly improved. But that's not gonna be today. All right, this is a better dampening for that full trigger, full pull. And I'm ADS with the left trigger soft pull. And there's no dampening on it except the in-game dampening, which I don't like. I wish they wouldn't do that. Because even when you set it to 100, it still dampens. And I want to control my dampening. And that's one of the neat things in the Warzone config. Shit. No. Got me. Damn it, not again. Stupid thing. We have a jetpack, so easy. All right, yeah, let's do the assault rifle or SMG. Keep changing it up. I never felt it necessary either in terms of the acceleration. Yeah, it wasn't necessary. I mean, I was never doing bad in games until I turned it on. It wasn't that sort of thing. And I didn't turn it on in an effort to try and fix a problem. I turned it on out of curiosity. And then when I noticed things improve, well then, I mean, why turn something off if it's making things better? So I would highly recommend experimenting with settings that you don't feel you need, because you might not realize that there are benefits out there. Not that acceleration is for everybody, but just like increasing your sensitivity or using always-on gyro or something like that, you'll never know if you don't try. And what's the point of the Steam controller if not experimentation? All right, we're not going to spend all night in this game, but I wanted to jump in there. Comparatively, the experience is so much better on the Steam controller than the DualSense controller, and the experience is better with the higher sensitivity on the touchpad, which for some reason is not translating in game, even though it was. I don't get it. Like, even now, a swipe is not even doing a 180. There must be something up with the game. Because when I played this over the weekend, like, look at this. One swipe is not even doing a complete 180. And I don't have acceleration on the touchpad. I wonder, what if we turn this off? No, that's not gonna. I don't get it. I don't know what's up with the game. Maybe there was some sort of update that did something. All right, let me catch up here on the chat. Left grip. Yeah, Meneth. Yeah, I would say, you know, try a left grip, making that like a mode switch button, you know, like a dedicated mode switch button. If you don't have, you know, a strong purpose for it at the moment, that's what I've done, and that's been something that has been maintained in almost every game, except for maybe some casual games where there aren't a lot of controls. Then I might throw something, you know, on the left grip relevant to that game. Get to the orange door. Yeah, I do have that game, and I like it a lot. It has some performance issues, but they recently updated it. A huge update. It's like a totally different game now, in like the last month or so, and I'm really excited about it. But they got to kind of fix the performance before I'll play it on the show. The whole never take thumbs off the pad. Yeah, that was my thing too. You know, everything was those pads. Thumbs were glued to the pads, and I hated the face buttons. And that was when I was using right touchpad to turn the gyro on, which I don't do anymore. Thank goodness. And that's been a huge thing. And again, that's one of those things. I never felt like I was missing out by not having gyro always available. I never felt like I was missing out. And then I saw people talking about it, saying how much better. And I think I saw some gameplay from somebody, and I was like, man, that's really impressive what he's doing. And he was like, oh yeah, I have it always on gyro. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that. And now I won't do any other way. When I started though, I think it was, let me see. Jason asked a question in the controller channel, asking for some tips for getting good at gyro aiming. Is it better to start with a low sensitivity, acceleration, smoothing, etc.? There's a lot of options, and if I change more than just turning down sensitivity, it feels jerky. Then when I tap right trigger. And that's true, and I think a lot of that comes over time. Your hands will just get better at stabilizing that, and almost like firing a gun in real life, your hands will learn to accommodate the force of what you're doing. And when it's new, you're gonna notice that you're moving your hands a lot when you're shooting your trigger, when you're pulling your trigger. But over time, you will learn what that movement is, and your hands will compensate for that movement. Same way for how you compensate for recoil, for example, with a mouse or something. But one of the things that helped me the most with that is go into your settings and set soft pull point really low and put your fire on a soft pull. That means you're only going to have to barely pull that trigger to fire your weapon. And if you have it set on a full pull and you're firing, then you're always going to be dealing with that. And the way I had it set up for the longest time was soft pull was ADS, which activated gyro, and then full pull was fire. And conceptually, that makes a lot of sense, and it looks cool, and it feels cool, and it feels functional and good and logical. But again, that was one of those things that someone else said somewhere, so I experimented with and realized, you know, this is worth the trade-off of having to throw ADS on left trigger, because being able to just barely feather tap that right trigger helps stabilize that gyro, and that's a really good one. And I would highly recommend giving that a try if you're trying to keep your controller from jerking around too much. Yeah, there's a lot of like there's a lot of old school shooter dudes that are really into acceleration and some of, you know, the third-party software acceleration options. There's good cases to be made for even acceleration on a mouse. You know, like there really are. And I never use acceleration on a mouse. And but I'm not going to deny that there are a lot of extremely talented people who swear by it. And those are usually the people that I tend to like to listen to, you know, is even if it seems like I'll never be that good, you know, I still want to like derive as much as I can from what they're doing and experiment with it. And a lot of times that's how you find, you know, really interesting things. All right, let's see. Hello, Swift. Welcome, and it's nice to see you in the chat. All right. I assume in this context, it's basically dampening on the inputs from a gyro sensor. Yeah, so when I'm saying dampening, let me show you. It's not even necessarily this trigger press mouse dampening, which I will use, but this game automatically has some of that on certain weapons. So if I throw this on here, because it would feel good on maybe a shotgun or a carbine or an SMG, it's gonna make the bow or the sniper rifle kind of miserable because the game puts its own, you know, dampening on those weapons when you're ADS, or in terms of the bow, you know, when you're drawing your arrow. So that's why I don't have that on here. But the way I'm getting to it is left trigger full pull has all the similar settings over here, and it goes into a mode shift. So left trigger soft pull in this game would be ADS if it's a weapon that has a scope, or more commonly in this game, it is secondary fire. And that's also on a soft pull on the left trigger. Very, very short threshold, soft pull. And then a left trigger full pull gives me this amount of dampening. And I like increasing the sensitivity vertical scale in a dampened layer. So like in a sniper layer, having that vertical scale even higher than I would normally have it is nice, because it allows me to like bring my gun back down after I fire a lot easier, while still not making my horizontal movements, you know, too wild. And that's one of the things that I experimented with a lot over this weekend too. Not that I haven't done that before, but I maxed it out this weekend all the way up, and then I just started working my way down, ticking it down little by little. And this was in Warzone, where ADS is a little more common. And that's kind of a sweet spot for this game. I think in Warzone it's even higher. And then, yeah, and so like I got the sensitivity all the way up here. and it's still not doing. There must be something up with the game. I'm really not sure why that would be. Because I used to have, I mean, just recently I had this sensitivity like down here, and I was doing 180s with a full swipe, but now, so I'm gonna have to turn the in-game sensitivity up, but we're not gonna do that today. Yeah, so now even with it maxed out, I'm not even doing a 180. Don't know what's up with that. Oh, geez, and look at that. I mean, it's very inconsistent. I think there's something else. All right. So basically for this game, the big takeaways are increased gyro sensitivity massively. And to offset that, we have a dampening on full pulls. So full pull of the left trigger puts us into this mode shift with dampening, and full pull with the right trigger puts us into a slow layer, which is essentially the same thing. A little higher on that one. Should put that down. And actually, that should go up. So it's effectively creating the same thing, except I'm getting to it with another action layer, which isn't the best. I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish I could go in here into the base layer, into the gyro settings, and create, like, specify to the mode shift to shift on multiple buttons. Or come over here and tell it to trigger dampen on multiple buttons, but not just these dumb options that it gives me. Why can't I do trigger dampening right here with a full pull? Why is it only soft pull or soft and full pull? How come there's no option for just full pull? I'm not asking this question to be facetious or something. I'm serious. There must be a logical reason why they wouldn't give you that option. I don't know what it is, though. It doesn't make any sense, and it would make things so much nicer if I could just specify what I wanted what button I wanted the dampening to be controlled with. But alas, we can't do it. So we work around that with another action layer. And if you haven't messed around with action layers a lot, I don't recommend that you do. That's one of the areas that I would suggest you avoid at almost all costs, because action layers will break your heart. They will freeze and they will lock up and they'll get stuck. If you fire into them and out of them really quickly, there's probably some workarounds putting action layer, release action layer bindings on, like, to fire multiple times, or I haven't been able to crack this. So it really depends. So you got to be careful with your action layers. Don't bind action layers to functions that you're going to jump in and out of very quickly. Because if you do that, there's a high likelihood your action layer is going to get stuck on, and that's going to be really annoying. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to jump into another game, hopefully one with a bit more consistency. We're going to do this. And I'm going to show you how I have applied some of the findings over the last week to this config. Yeah, I would think that there's, I don't know, I'm not bitter at Valve, like I don't share the opinion that, yeah, I don't share the opinion that Steam or Valve is like dropped the ball, or that anything is necessarily like half-assed, it's true that there's a lot of things that don't work, but I feel like that's kind of what you get with the Steam controller is you get something that's got some issues, that's, you know, a little at times, but I kind of would rather, I'm somebody that would rather have a function available, even if it's buggy, than for someone to say, oh, well, this is kind of buggy, so let's take it out. I don't want that. I would rather, because even as it is now, I know the action layers are kind of bugged, but I still use them. But I'm very mindful about what I rely on an action layer for, because I know that it's bugged. But if they took them out because they're kind of buggy, then I would be like really upset. So whoever is making those kinds of decisions over there, I'm really glad that they're allowing those things, you know, to exist despite having some issues. I just wish that there was a little bit more transparency about known issues, so that we don't spend, you know, dozens of hours building crazy configs and then realize, oh my, this is not going to work. This is not going to work at all because things are getting locked in here. And then you got to hear someone randomly on YouTube let you know that, hey, action layers don't really, you know, you got to be careful what you use them for because they might get locked up or whatever. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into, where should we go? Let's just start here and go from there. So, yeah, well, I think layers have always been broken. I don't think that layers have ever worked. I don't think that they used to work and then they stopped working. I think that they've just always had that problem where if you fire them too quick, they don't have time to recognize the release. And I experienced that a lot with MIDI things not recognizing note press releases or note releases. So I guess I'm kind of a little more forgiving with that. But I mean, I would love to see that kind of stuff, you know, solved and fixed, of course. And I still hope one day we get a solution either in an update for the Steam controller or a new piece of hardware altogether. All right, we got to go over here. And oh my God, it's doing it again. Stupid game. It's not letting us select. That's so annoying. I don't know why it does that. I had it working. I had it working great over the weekend.
2, 1, go.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure this needs to be left joystick. If any of you know why this doesn't work, let me try something real quick. I'm going to... I have an idea. I think, because I know that I had this working great. No, that's not it. I was so excited for Doom Eternal. And I don't know. I was pretty disappointed, which is weird because on paper, see, now the overlay is not opening. Why would that be the case? I'm going to restart Steam real quick. That'll probably, hopefully, fix this. Doom Eternal was like kind of a disappointment because all the I just hated all the platforming. I know that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, to change the pace up a bit and stuff, but it was just so boring to me, so boring. And when I would play it, it was like I was just slogging through, like jump on the thing, and jump and grab the thing and climb. It's like, I know I just need to go right there. Like I know that I just need to go there, but it's gonna take me 15 minutes to do this dumb thing to get over there. And then when you get there, it didn't feel like rewarding because that's not why I played that game. So, I don't know. Yeah, it does actively punish you if you play mindlessly. I don't really feel, maybe I just suck, but when I play Doom 2016, I always play on Ultra Nightmare, but I don't feel like I'm ever playing mindlessly. I definitely feel like it's like I'm putting it in, you know? But then again, I mean, I play with a Steam controller, and you know, if you were playing with a mouse and keyboard, maybe that experience is different. I can't say, because I didn't really play this game with a mouse and keyboard. The first game that I played with a Steam controller was one of the Wolfenstein games. It was one of the ones that was new when the controller came out. And that was a pretty dang good experience for a first experience. But I was doing things really weird back then. Oh, really, Swift? That's awesome. Do you play with a Steam controller? I would love to see some like high-level Steam controller gameplay from a competitive person. That would be awesome. What's going on? Now the game is locking up on me. Doesn't want to cooperate. All right, let's try one more time. You barely use the Steam controller. That's fair. I think a lot of people that have it barely use it, unfortunately. Well, I mean, you're having fun, you're having fun. And what's funny though is these days, if I try to play without it, like if I'm somewhere and playing a game or something, with a mouse and keyboard, it's hard for me to have fun. It's really weird. And it's similar to how when I would play on mouse and keyboard all the time, and then I would go somewhere and people would be playing Halo or something, and then they hand me a gamepad, and I'd be like, okay, and it's like the slowest thing in the world. Everyone's floaty around and just so slow. Oh, and it was like impossible for me to like find the fun in that. And now I feel that way with the mouse and keyboard, not because it feels slow. It does, obviously it's not slow, but it's so weird how that changed. Oh my God, I fixed it. I don't know how, but I guess the reboot did it. It's working again. Okay. All right. I want to launch into glory kills from much further away. Oh, it's already on. All right. In-flight mobility and armored offensive. All right, so, all right, this is more like it. This is, notice my sensitivity on my touchpad. So I'm just gonna do a touchpad swipe here. So what is that? I don't know what that is. I'm not good with numbers. So this would be a 180. And we're doing like a 180 and a half, whatever the heck that is. Is that 2 something? Yeah, I don't know. So it's, it feels really, really sensitive. It almost feels like too sensitive, but it's not. Because as I'm using it, like I didn't have to spend a week with this sensitivity to get comfortable and consistent with it, which is the surprising thing. Because there's been a lot of things that people were like, oh, it's way better to do it this way. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work on that, and then you have to work on it. This I didn't have to work on. It was almost strange how quickly my thumb accommodated this higher sensitivity on the touchpad. So there's a much higher sensitivity with the gyro. This is essentially the same sensitivity level that we had in RoboQuest on the gyro. And a higher sensitivity on the touchpad as well. So what I'm doing is I have a soft pull on the left trigger. This is kind of like the RoboQuest thing. So soft pull does the alternate fire, but it's set up on hip fire aggressive and into an empty binding on a full pull. And that empty binding is actually dampens via a mode shift, just like in RoboQuest. So I can just go right past the alt fire function all the way to a full pull to get dampening, across the board on my gyro. Or I can do it slowly if I want to go alt fire, then dampening. And that's something that does take a little bit of getting used to, because if you're used to just pulling down on that left trigger, then you're going to end up not ADSing or not doing your alt fire. So that it does take some getting used to, that thing. But ultimately, I like it more because it gives me more options. All right, here we go. I didn't grab the relic in time. We're not going for high scores. All right, we're still alive, but we're not doing great in terms of our score. But hey, come on. New config. We're still making it happen. Left and right snaps, 180 snaps. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. And I have this weapon wheel set up. It's semi-color coordinated. I find that colors help more than text, more than icons. Colors help me find what I'm looking for when I'm using a radial. And I like having the radial in the middle of the screen because that's where my eyes are. My eyes aren't in the bottom right corner of the screen, so it doesn't make sense to me to have that pop-up radial there.
Overload.
Oh, we might as well.
Maximum multiplier. Maximum multiplier.
I know the way. I remember.
Maximum multiplier. Maximum multiplier. Maximum multiplier. Maximum multiplier.
Get up there. Oh no, you lost my mic. Oh wait, no, you didn't? Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, sorry. Couldn't talk when I was killing those demons. Feels disrespectful, you know? Mr. Relic. Well, I mean, no high scores. Obviously, we weren't really going for high scores, but the this feels so much better. So much better than the DualSense controller. Even though, I mean, we got through the level after a couple of attempts last time. But this is so much better. It feels so much better. And having this high sensitivity touchpad really makes all the difference in the world. Along with that gyro, man, it feels so natural. It feels like
Entrances not operational.
Like what I'm doing is, what I want to do is translating so much more effectively. Especially with the snaps.
Main power offline. All entrances not operational.
I believe in honesty.
Yes, I know.
Especially now. In what will be your final moments in this world. All the moments the human be thankful. You will be the first. You will have a seat for one sign of just as time in what will come in the world they create for us.
And one of the best parts about the touchpad is it gives you so many more options for weapon switching with radials and things like that. And again, I don't have to take my thumb off of the touchpad to change my weapon, to do my snaps.
Maximum multiplier.
And that is just such an important thing. And that high acceleration and the high sensitivity, it just accommodates my twitching. I say as I miss. Now, there's nothing you could do about being a bad player sometimes. No matter what controller you're using, sometimes you just gotta get good.
Demonic presence eliminated. Lockdown disengaged.
Here at the UAC, we take pride in nurturing a growing workforce. We harness only the best of humanity, uncritically wrong.
All right, you remember last time I decapitated myself on the doorway? Let's not do that again. Who said that? Now, are you seeing all the snapping? All the 180 snaps, it's really game changing because you can, when you're aware of it and you're thinking about it and you know that that's something you have access to, you'll go into something deliberately past it so that you can turn around. And when you know that that snap is going to line you up, then you start aiming backwards, like if that makes sense. You know, you start like, you end up going past something, and instead of turning that way, you just turn the other way and then snap. You know what I mean? It becomes one of the funnest things that I've done to the Steam controller in a while. And then the left and right snaps obviously are super handy. Damn it! There we go.
Maximum multiplier. Metal overload.
No! I saw that one coming too. All right, that's fine because I want to go into a different one. Let me see. Which one is it? Foundry. Dang, I wish I had my other save game. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, Menens? You guys asked for that increase in what I was doing before is I was still able to pull them off. I was just stacking a whole bunch of mouse deltas. And I still do that in some games, like in Warzone, when you're ADS, like with an assault rifle, I have the snap, it's interruptible on, and then I have a corded press so that if I'm left trigger soft pull, then it fires 2 or 3 different corded presses to achieve a 180 snap when I'm ADS because of the dampening put in from the game, if that makes sense. Let's see.
1, 3, 2, go.
Oh, shit. Damn it. But thank you for that, Menon. I really appreciate your work. Oh, damn it. All right, I screwed that up from the beginning. I wish they would expand the range more. I wish that there wouldn't be a limitation whatsoever so that I wouldn't still have to use multiple instances. fall off the edge.
Metal overload. Maximum multiplier.
I have to see if there's is there dampening on a soft pull? No, there's not. It just must be the game. I hate that. I hate that. No way. Oh, I gotta do it again. Gotta do it again. I'm so glad that they added it. I never knew that I wanted snapping. Like, it was just one of those things that never crossed my mind. And now, I don't want to live without it. And I pair the snapping with the, you know, the left pad touch or right pad click to lock the gyro. So I can snap and hold to reset my hands if need be, or I can just do a quick snap and release.
Metal overload.
What? All that health and armor right in front of me popping out of his body? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
That was pretty stupid.
Oh, be quiet, Raid.
All right.
2, 1, go.
Damn it! Coming right for me, too. I saw it. Tasted it. It tasted terrible. 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 Let's do a different map. And here's an important thing to realize, too. I'm being really, really light with this controller. My hands were sore with that other one because I was holding it so tight and I was pushing so hard and all that. I'm holding this thing so lightly. My thumb is barely touching these touch pads. The only time I'm putting force on it is when I'm clicking. And even that, it's really not that much force. People complain about the force of the clicking, and I agree to an extent, but using that DualSense gamepad, clicking those joysticks is way more of a burden than clicking this touchpad. So I don't know. I have a whole different appreciation now for this touchpad after clicking a joystick for a week. Not a good time.
Demonic presence eliminated. Lockdown disengaged.
Yeah, I was noticing I had to really increase that dead zone with the joysticks because it would, oh, wrong one. It would make it really annoying when you accidentally get off axis and then you start rotating and stuff. I definitely think that's one of the reasons why I felt like getting away from using the right joystick for camera control. Oh, that wasn't my intention. God damn it. Oh, what are you gonna do? All right, I want to show you one more thing before we go. None of this is like, I hope you understand, and I feel the need to say this because I'm insecure, I guess, I don't know. But the point of this is not to show you the most high-level Steam controller gameplay. I have other videos where I've done much better that I would link to if that were my intention, but that's not what this is about. This is about what I've taken away from the experience with that DualSense controller. And these changes that I've added, they're probably going to take a little bit more time for me to get completely used to them, but already I'm noticing I'm having more fun and I'm feeling more connected. I feel like what I'm trying to do in the game is happening better, even if I'm not nailing every shot. Like, it's hard to explain. It just feels more responsive. Responsive is not the right word because it wasn't like, you know, a latency issue or something like that. But it just feels more more accurate. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I gotta, you know, Destiny 2, that game is just so freaking annoying. I'm so frustrated with Destiny 2. I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole different thing. I'm uninstalling it right now. Right now, I'm uninstalling Destiny 2. That feels good. I'm happy to have done that. So annoying, that game. All right. There it is. No, actually, I'm not. I was gonna jump into Proteus, but essentially, it's more the same. It's the same thing that we're doing in the Doom one and in RoboQuest, just increasing those sensitivities, increasing that gyro sensitivity, and increasing the touchpad sensitivity. And it feels so much better. It feels so nice. And so, I guess that's really like the main takeaway from all of this, is that well, I guess maybe a couple of things. Is one, having worked around the limitations of the DualSense controller, it got me to experiment with things that I wouldn't have otherwise experimented with, because I would have said, oh, I don't need to do that because I do well as it is. And here I am now saying I was wrong, and my configs have now been improved because I've accepted that and implemented these changes that I wouldn't have otherwise done. Warzone is the one that I'm really the most excited for. And it's one of the even though I didn't play that one with the DualSense controller, it's the one that I've noticed the biggest difference in, with having the increased sensitivity, and especially in that game, having that vertical scale sensitivity. Like, I always increase it a bit, but having it very increased made a big difference, and I can't wait for Wednesday so we can play. And of course, if any of you are available to play, we'll jump into a squad together and we'll have a good time. So by all means, put it on your calendar. And Ziggurat 2. Ziggurat 2, I played some more over the weekend with some of these changes. And that's an interesting one, because circle strafing is really, really useful in that game. But I've removed my spin layer, because that's how I was circle strafing in that, by clicking, and instead of doing the snap, I was doing a spin. And I don't really feel like I need to do that anymore. You know? Like, I would feel like I needed it. But now with the high sensitivity gyro, I feel like I can circle strafe with just the gyro. And thinking that way, you know, in the little bit of time that I spent with the game since making these changes over the weekend, I was able to snap away, you know, say to the right, to move my hand, and then start turning from the far side, you know, from the far right angle, so that I have so much, like a high amount to turn. Like, I don't know how to phrase it, you know what I mean? But by doing that, I'm able to circle strafe with the gyro, and it feels great. It feels really, really great, and I'm happy about it. Even though it's not necessarily the same as being able to click and hold and then just spin for days around your dude and use the gyro to like adjust your aim as you're doing it. That's a really, really nice experience. But I just don't think that I'm going to use it as much. I just don't think that it's really, at the end of the day, as valuable as having those snaps. And with the high sensitivity gyro, it's really not as necessary, because you're able to get a good amount of circle strafing in before you have to reset your hands. And the snaps help you reset your hands so much faster, because you can snap to the direction that you need to reset, or the opposite direction, and hold, then reset. The snap gets you a lot of the way there, and then you reset, and then you release, and now you're able to pick up again from where you're going. Thinking of it the same way as with a mouse, moving it to the edge of your mouse pad, picking it up, moving it back over, dropping it down, and then continuing. It's like that, except if you had a button that will instantly move you over, you know what I mean? Like, instantly pull you over, and that's what the snap does. Maybe not all the way necessarily, but being able to click that, which also simultaneously locks the gyro, letting you reorient your hands, and then pick up where you left off. Obviously, if you're thinking about it that much, you're not going to have a good time. But that's where training, for lack of a better term, comes in. It's just Steam controller experimentation. Half the time, more than half the time when I'm playing a game, I'm actually focused on the config and the Steam controller and the controls and the gyro aiming, and I'm having a blast. Like, I'm winning, losing is irrelevant in the game. Doom is a good example of that. Winning, losing, getting scores like that is so irrelevant when it comes to playing with a Steam controller for me, because the game is the Steam controller. The game is improving the function of this controller, improving my performance as it relates to the function of the controller, not my performance as it relates to the game. So those are the times when I walk away from a game and feel the most satisfied. Not because I beat the game, not because I got to the end of a mission or beat a boss, but because I figured out something, I made a realization about an improvement, and then I tested it, and it worked, and it was an improvement. That's when I feel elated. That's when I feel the most joy in gaming, is when this controller is involved in some capacity. Cyberhook was another one. Cyberhook I played with this. Not on the show, because it was a nightmare. In all fairness, I didn't spend hours trying to tweak things to make it the most, accommodating. But I've zero desire to play Cyberhook with anything but a Steam controller. These touchpads are it's just so good in that game. Speaking of Cyberhook, and the dual stage trigger makes it. It really does. Because right now, I'm just using soft pull. I'm swinging like Spider-Man. And then now, full pull reels you in. I love it. Let's make a quick adjustment. Let's do this. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to increase this a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to increase this a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to increase it a little more. Grappling hook games are my favorite too, man. Some of the best times just flying. This is such a good game to just play and chill. It's also a good game to play and get very sweaty. But it's also a good game to just play and chill. And this config is still using spins. I'll probably update that in the next couple of days. Damn it. I blew it. Capiche? Ugh. Yeah, you know what? This is probably a great game to recommend for anybody who's learning gyro. Especially this sort of like free play lobby area. And then as you get more comfortable, you can jump into some of the levels. One of my proudest achievements that will forever remain one of my proudest achievements is getting some high scores in this game. Of course, it was prior to release, and a bunch of us in the Discord had a good time sharing our runs and our little creative little routes that we would find. And it's just amazing with the gyro. I haven't played this one yet. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's easy enough. I'm so glad you like the music, Nemo. I had a really good time working on this over the weekend. Oh. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. There's a lot of games that are like this in VR. Jet Island is one of them. There's a lot of games. And I've been playing VR since the early days, so I do got the sea legs. But I would say like even this game, like if you just play this game casually, it's not as crazy as it looks when I'm going super fast and like gyro snapping and spinning around and doing all this stuff. Like it's very, very peaceful. Like a lot of games. Like there's a lot of slow paced or moderately paced VR games that I can play and make anybody sick because of how aggressive or fast paced or however you play it. But I think that if you played this in VR, it wouldn't be as crazy as it is here because you would be limited by your physical ability to turn around and to look and, you know, all that stuff. So it makes it way less intense when you're in VR and it's your head and your eyes looking around rather than when you're watching it on a screen and someone's controlling it with like a high sensitivity gyro and snaps and all that. There's it's kind of been a thing and somewhat of a pet peeve maybe. There's so many people who for so many years have said, oh, that won't work in VR. I mean, Chet Falizek was like, oh, you can't have artificial locomotion in VR, that'll make everyone sick. And people really believe that. And for years, I feel like it stunted VR development because there were all these quote-unquote best practices that were just absolutely nonsense. And it was just due to the fact that those people were new and they hadn't developed their VR legs yet. Similar to how first-person shooters, I remember playing FPS games on my PC when my friends were playing like Nintendo and stuff, and they would all complain that it would make them nauseous, like all of them. And they thought it was too bizarre, like a mouse and keyboard, that's not a game, you know, and it would make them nauseous, like seeing all the movement and stuff. Obviously now, that's not the case. The same thing has happened to VR. So the stuff that people said, oh, you can't do that in VR, no, you totally can. And maybe new people getting like an Oculus Quest for the first time, you know, maybe that's not a game for them. Just like a new player who's playing a computer game for the first time, maybe the most demanding, fast-paced arena boomer shooter is not going to be the most accessible game for them. But just like games like Jet Island and some other VR games that are really demanding, you will see a lot of reviews where people say, oh, this game made me sick. And I don't doubt it. But VR, believe it or not, cured my motion sickness. And it's the weirdest thing, but it totally did. And I think what it was being in a controlled environment where I can get motion sick and then stop playing. Take the headset off, take a break. The next day, jump back in, play again till I got motion sick, take it off. And then after maybe 2 months of playing VR regularly, all of a sudden, I can play anything. I can turn off every comfort setting. I can go as fast as possible. And then when I ended up on like an airplane, I was like, oh my God, I'm not motion sick. How is this happening? And then ending up in car rides that totally would have turned my stomach, no longer did. And the only thing that I can correlate that to is the experiences getting motion sick and then controlling it in VR, and having beaten it in VR seemed to really translate, you know. Well, the thing is, in space, it's different. It doesn't, motion is different in space because it's science and magnets and polarities and stuff.
You are very terrible.
Oh, shut up, Raid.
All right.
I don't even know where I'm supposed to be going in this level. Oh, yeah, there. No, 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 no. All right. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. I'm gonna get into it, and it's gonna be bad. We're gonna be here till midnight again. I can't do that. I can't. All right, but before we go, and that's it. God, I love that game. Such a good game. It's not even a game. It's an experience. Maybe that's how I broke my PBS. No, unfortunately. It's much worse than that. Yeah, it's not a speed thing. That's true. For me, it's more rotational. It was always more like rotational. And in VR, what happens a lot is a lot of times when you're moving your head, if the headset is not like fitted really well, then it can move. And that is what ended up making me the most sick when I started, was like the movement of the headset that wasn't lining up with my head. So even when I wasn't doing something really demanding in the game, even just looking around in a menu, if I moved my head around and the headset wasn't tight enough, oh, it was bad. But it was only bad for a little bit, and then nothing. That game, Splitgate Arena, I would love that game in VR. That would be so fun. Man, there's this game called Battle Zone? No, Battle Dome. Battle Dome. Oh man. Battle Dome was such a fun game. I think it was made by one dude. It was one of those very, very early VR games. It was so cool. And you had paint guns, and you had to shoot in your paint on, you know, it's kind of like Splatoon inspired. A super fun game. I love that. I remember playing that, and you know, you're chatting with like the other players and stuff, and there would be people that were like so sick, like playing that game, and they just keep playing, you know. Oh, hey, Anwar, what's up? Yeah, we're just about to shut it down, my man. We're already, well, I started a little later than I wanted. Yeah, Jet Island, that's it. I love that game. Jet Island is another one of those games where, like, if you were to see that trailer or maybe conceptually talk about a game like that, people would be like, oh, that'd make you sick. Nah. I mean, it would make some people sick, but a lot of people won't be sick by it. It's a great game. Yeah, Anwar is the reason that my thumbs always have protection these days. So thank you for that. Where is it? There. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys had a good night. Wrong one, Raid. And to our new members, welcome. Super stoked to have you guys here with us. And for the record, you know, this isn't a YouTube channel. You know, like, we've been broadcasting live for years, and everything was private for a long time because we were all here, you know, and it was an off-planet sort of thing. It wasn't really meant to be publicly terrestrially available. And it's not necessarily a Steam controller thing. I'm just really into the Steam controller. So, you know, by proxy, it becomes about that. So, fair warning to everybody. I hope you don't become too disappointed if the content is not always Steam controller centric. I'm really not the Steam controller guy. Rambletown is the Steam controller guy. Steam controller player is the Steam controller guy. So, Steam controller gamer, that's his name. Apologies. I won't make that mistake again. Check out those guys for insightful, concise, well thought out, well presented Steam controller content and information. I've learned so much from them, and I think that anybody who's interested in the Steam controller will as well. And over time, I may talk less about the Steam controller, and I may talk more about music production. I may talk less about gaming and maybe more about the Triverse and some historical stories from my past that I am excited to sort of, you know, manifest on this planet and share with you guys. It's all sorts of stuff. But I just want to put that out there so that there's no misunderstandings, and I don't want to disappoint people too terribly bad when I might not talk about the Steam controller or might not, you know, focus on gyro-aiming and all that. This is all very relevant to me right now because, you know, I just got this controller and all this stuff, and naturally it's, you know, gaming is a passion of mine. It's a real interest, and the Steam controller is really the motivation and the reason behind that passion these days. I honestly, truthfully don't know that I would be really playing games very often if it wasn't for the Steam controller. Not that I think that they're not interesting on their own, but the Steam controller and gyro aiming and the process of building a config becomes a puzzle to me that is more satisfying than usually even playing the game. So playing the game is done to get to a point where I now have some idea for something to tweak in my config. And a lot of times if I play a game for too long and I'm not in the config tweaking stuff, I get bored with the game. And it's weird, I know, but that's just where I'm at. And there's other passions that I have as well. You know, music is a huge one. And because of that, just like with the Steam controller, I never asked anybody if they wanted me to ramble on about the Steam controller. I just did it because I'm here to document my experiences. And that is fundamental to my experiences on Earth thus far. So it's super relevant to that goal of mine. But as is music. And I know a lot of you have come from the Wavemakers Discord and from different synthwave places throughout the planet. And I appreciate all of you guys, and anyone from the Wavemakers Discord. I know this isn't a Wavemakers thing, but I see what you guys post, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And I'm really excited to see where the collaboration is going to go. Even if it takes time, it doesn't matter. It's a fun thing to be involved with, and I hope to be able to make some more content for you guys. I'm dealing with a bug right now in Bitwig, and as soon as I can either find a workaround, or as soon as they patch this, I have something to show you musicians and producers that I think is just the coolest thing. One of the neatest workflows that I've ever experienced, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to use this with their stuff. And I'm really looking forward to focusing on some of that in the not too distant future. 2021 is going to be a big year for a number of reasons, and not least of which is the Ryker initiative. Oh, hey, Seneca Rising, my dude. I'm happy to see you again. It's been a while. Seneca Rising has posted his introduction. Let's get him in here. You made it before the end of the show, so I don't want you to have to wait a week, my friend. Wanted to ask a question regarding the keyboard stuff you showed. I tried that config, but for some reason I couldn't get the full pull periods to work, nor the other punctuations from the outer edge. Okay, he's talking about my keyboard config. You know, it could be because of Windows 8.1. I'm really not sure because I don't use Windows 8.1, but I don't see why it would. I'm not sure, but we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this more, and I'll try and help you figure out how to get that keyboard config working. All right, everybody. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate the hell out of all of you, and I hope you had a good time, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow if you're free. By all means, come on back over. We're going to be jumping into a game and maybe something else. Who knows? I'm so thirsty right now, and I haven't really had a drink at all. This is completely full. I'm going to go drink all this now. Everybody, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.